Any updates on the suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued and we all don't get sued and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But yeah, I think we're in great shape. Mr. President. He's in custody.
He's in custody. The alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk, the one that we saw in the video crawling on the roof, the one that we saw running through the parking lot, the one that there was a nationwide manhunt for, a $100,000 reward for. President Donald Trump now telling Fox and Friends, we got him. They asked, who turned him in or how did you find him? And Donald Trump said, well, it was someone very close to him.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him in. You know, they said, whoa. It's interesting where we had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but you know, I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you? Huh?
And of course, the folks on Fox and Friends said, what do you think is going to happen to him? And Donald Trump said, we should probably meet the same end that all brutal, maniacal animal killers should, and that is the death penalty.
I hope he was going to be found guilty, I would imagine. And I hope he gets the death penalty. What he did, Charlie Kirk was the finest person. He didn't deserve this. He worked so hard and so well. Everybody liked him. I've been watching. Even the left is having a hard time. They fired this guy Dowd from MSDNC, who's a terrible guy, terrible human being. But they fired him. I hear they're firing other people. And, you know, we're talking about radical left. Now, they're a little bit, but radical left networks and cable channels, horrible channels like MS, I always call it DNC because it's, you know, somehow affiliated with the Democrat National Committee. So, you know, it's a little statement you make. But MSNBC, but NBC, ABC, CBS, they're all terrible, absolutely terrible and unfair. But even they have been giving it sort of like this can't be allowed to happen.
Donald Trump in his own way complimenting and insulting all those other major networks at the same time in a way that only he can do. But this is huge breaking news that someone close to the shooter turned them in. They're now in custody, and Donald Trump feels very, very, very confident that this is the guy, that they will be found guilty. And in Utah, remember, there is the death penalty. And he said, this is something that we are faced with every single day from the radical left. In fact, yesterday, speaking at the White House, he told reporters something very, very similar.
Really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only concerned for the country.
That is always Donald Trump's number one concern. He wants to make sure that we here in the United States of America can exercise our rights without having to worry about somebody putting a bullet in our heads. He wants everyone to know that they have the freedom of speech. They have the freedom to practice their religion. They have the freedom to peacefully protest. They have the freedom to and the right to bear arms. And all of us should be able to exercise those freedoms free of the fear of harm. Donald Trump, himself a victim of political violence on multiple occasions, is saying this is a problem that we will deal with. We are going to solve this problem, but it is a left-wing group of lunatics who are running around the country causing all of these issues. And he was asked about the assassin who is still at large. The FBI releasing information about a $100,000 reward yesterday for any information leading to the capture of the criminal who put a bullet in Charlie Kirk at the Utah Valley University earlier this week. President Donald Trump said, "We're going to find him." But when asked whether it was a trained assassin, he said, "You know what? I'd rather not say at this moment."
Do you believe the killer was a trained assassin? Usually your instincts are always on.
I'd rather not say. I think progress is being made. He's an animal, total animal. And hopefully they'll have him and they'll get him. What he did is disgraceful. Charlie Kirk was a great person, a great man, great in every way, especially with youth. And what he did, what this man did, was disgraceful. So hopefully we'll have him and we will deal with him very appropriately.
His casket was flown home yesterday on Air Force Two by the vice president, who accompanied the casket of Charlie Kirk along with his wife and his children back to Phoenix, Arizona from Utah. And when the casket was delivered, it was J.D. Vance himself who helped to carry it from the airplane to the hearse and back, of course, to Charlie Kirk's home. A homecoming that I'm sure will be very, very solemn, very, very well received, as Charlie Kirk had many friends and admirers, not just around the globe, but in his home of Phoenix, where he and his organization had their headquarters and where he broadcast his show, The Charlie Kirk Show, every single day. J.D. Vance, as many people in the United States or in the White House and the Trump administration are, very close friends with Charlie Kirk and his family. And of course, they are all feeling the pain and sorrow from what happened just the other day in Utah when Charlie Kirk was murdered. Donald Trump talking to the press yesterday. It was a very busy day at the White House, but he told everybody, look, violence is never the answer. That's the tool of the left-wing opposition. What we do is we have ideas and we speak and we debate, and that's what we are going to continue to do.
You want to see your supporters respond to this? Charlie Kirk was a big advocate of nonviolence and free speech on campus. How do you want your supporters to respond to it?
I think that way. He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond.
Donald Trump says, respond nonviolently. Do not retaliate. This is not how we do things. And that's not how Charlie Kirk did things. And as a result of Charlie Kirk's never-ending pledge to help the United States of America and advocate for liberty and freedom and advocate for his undying faith, his devotion to God and to Jesus Christ and to spreading that message, Charlie Kirk, a man of faith, a man of God, a man of country, a very calm, non-egomaniacal and humble soul who just wanted open political discourse. And Donald Trump says that's how he lived, that's how he died, and that's how we shall remember him. And Donald Trump even making this promise at the 9/11 ceremony at the Pentagon yesterday.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
He was much loved by many people in Washington, D.C. and the Republican establishment, and that is something true. Donald Trump says when he has the award ceremony to give Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom, it will be a day of celebration, a celebration of the life of Charlie Kirk. Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, who very rarely gives public interviews or comments. Very rarely it comes out into the spotlight. Usually works diligently behind the scenes. Susie Wiles spoke with Scott Jennings on his radio show, and Scott Jennings asked her, look, you're the chief of staff. Your job is to make sure that everyone in the White House is showing up for work, that they're healthy, that they're doing what needs to be doing. How is everybody at the White House doing? How's their mental health? Because Charlie Kirk was a close ally and friend and gave and a confidant to many of them.
How is everyone at the White House doing? This is traumatic for you, for the team. How are you personally, and how is the president?
Yesterday was a very tough day. It was a roller coaster. We thought there was bad news, and then we thought there would be good news, and then ultimately not so. So it was very rough. Charlie was very much a part of this family, and maybe the highest profile MAGA person outside of those that are working here. So I think it shook everybody to their core. And for many of us, brought back the memories of last July 13th in Butler with the president. And then today is 9/11. So sort of a 1-2 punch.
And that is something that a lot of us were feeling on the right. A lot of us who love this country and support the president of the United States were feeling that 1-2 punch. Charlie Kirk on September 10th, losing his life. September 11th, the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. It is a lot to handle. And now every year, both of those anniversaries, those tragic anniversaries will sit back to back. Scott Jennings also asked Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, look, as far as Americans go, as far as everybody else goes, is it safe?
Is it safe in America right now for an outspoken conservative? I mean, obviously the president survived a couple of assassination attempts, and Charlie's no longer with us. How are you processing that question today?
I think we have to recognize that America has become a violent place. It's one of the reasons the president's so committed to a safe District of Columbia. And we've had great results there. But Marco Rubio yesterday said, what I think is going on is that there are embers out there and they're starting to burn. And I thought that was a very good way of looking at the atmospherics. We have a lot of high profile people here that engage publicly and in the media, and they say things others might not like. So I called everybody in before they went home last night and said, go home, hug your children, hug your spouse, be careful, take precautions, and don't let your voice get softer. Charlie would want everybody to speak as they had been and more. So that's sort of the way we feel here. And he was very close to many of us. And even those that were not his good friends, we know him. He was so much help in the campaign. There's no question there's a sadness here.
Yeah. And despite that sadness, President Donald Trump went out yesterday and he celebrated the memories of those we lost during 9/11. Pardon me, not just in the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., but also in New York City. And he did it by attending a Yankees game, which, if you remember, was one of the things that really healed and began to heal New York City, was when they brought baseball back to New York City and Yankee Stadium post 9/11. George W. Bush was out there throwing out the first pitch. Derek Jeter was giving him advice. He made it to the mound despite the fact that he was wearing a bulletproof vest. And what George Bush did back then, which was go out in public and show Americans there's nothing to fear and that we can live our lives and we can do the things that we enjoy doing and we can get back to normal by going to a ball game in the Bronx. Donald Trump did that yesterday as well and was so well received. When he came out, there was an announcement, of course, that Donald Trump was there at the Yankee game, and everybody was just ecstatic. They started to chant USA, USA. And then during the game, a chance of Trump, Trump, Trump. And Donald Trump, in his true Trump fashion, went back into the locker room and talked to the players and talked to all of the folks at Yankee Stadium, and they were so happy to see him. They were so proud to have their president there because, once again, in a time when there is so much uncertainty, in a time when there is so much grief and anger, at a time when there's so much violence, a ball game, a simple baseball game, can bring us all back together. It's one of the normal parts of our lives. It's something that we've had in this country for hundreds of years. It's a recreational distraction from all of the horrors and evils of the day. And President Donald Trump showed America once again resilience. We do not have to cower. We do not have to silence our voices. As Susie Wiles said, we need to go out there and continue to speak up and continue to live our lives. We will not be terrorized. The whole root of terrorism, whether it's foreign terrorism like we saw on September 11th, 2001, or whether it's domestic terrorism like we saw on September 10th, 2025, terrorism at the root is people that want you to alter your lifestyle. They want to control you with fear. And if you're afraid to go out to a college event or to go hear your favorite political speaker, or if you're afraid to go out to a baseball game or to go to work in a tall building, if you're afraid to get on an airplane, then the terrorists have won. And they know it. And they know that by doing what they did on September 11th, and this shooter knows that by doing what they did on September 10th of this year, they have altered people's lives forever. And the only way to fight back against terrorism is to not allow that to happen, to not change anything, to not change your hopes and your dreams, to not change your actions, to not change your beliefs in God, in Jesus Christ, in this country, or in the President of the United States, President Donald Trump. And that's why it's so important for Donald Trump to go out there to Yankee Stadium to support the crowd and to support New York City and the United States of America. There's a lot more going on. Of course, it is the final day of a very long week, but there's still much to talk about. And there's other news going on from around the globe that Donald Trump has to deal with. Of course, there's still as we discuss all the time, there's still global conflicts going on with Israel and Hamas. There's all kinds of issues economically. There's a budget bill that's going to be battled on the floor of the House of Representatives, and Donald Trump trying to avoid a government shutdown. So all of those stories and more we will cover later today in our second daily podcast. Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. It's live streamed at 1 p.m. Eastern, or you can download it and listen to it at your leisure on any of our podcast platforms. All you have to do is go to markkaye.com, MarkKaye.com, click the red button that says, I want the podcast, download, subscribe, listen, and enjoy.